Going to give it a couple seconds here as people are coming into the room for the Campus ESP Top Trends and Family Engagement for 2024. We're excited because we're in the same Zoom box for once. That's exciting there. And we're just going to wait a couple more seconds as people come in here, make sure anybody who was planning to Zoom bomb has the opportunity. Is that even still a thing anymore?
I hope not.
I feel like
2024.
Yeah, we've moved on. Well, our pictures haven't moved on, but we've moved on. Our pictures are definitely from the Zoom bomber era. So we'll I don't know. It's really staring me in the face right now. I'm gonna have to adjust that picture. I think I'm almost up on the statute of limitations on my picture here.
Time for a new headshot this year.
Or an even older headshot. We can go that direction too.
Love that.
Okay, so we're going to get started. I'm going to do intros in a moment here, but you are in the Campus ESP Top Trends and Family Engagement for 2024. This is the third year that we've done this. This is our most popular session that we do, and this year it's a little bit unique. We're going to be going over some of the top trends in parent and family engagement, but we're also going to be sharing data from our customers. And we have over 350 customers, and we have over 9 million parents over the last 5-ish years that we're going to talk about some of the trends. So we're excited to get started here, and thanks for joining us today. We're going to move pretty quickly through things here. The first thing is lines are on mute in case you were just screaming in joy as you're seeing Leslie and I here. We'll send the recording, the slide deck, everything afterwards. We're not going to take questions. We're not going to open Q&A. We're just going to go through the top trends as quickly as we can, get you everything you need, and then if you have questions afterwards, please feel free to reach out to us. So we'll go from there. And then real quick on the intros, my name is Dave Becker. I am not the doctor here. I'm not Dr. Leslie Gale. She is going to be introducing herself in a moment, but I am the CEO and co-founder of Campus ESP. And I've been working on Campus ESP for about 7+ years, and I'm really excited to go through these trends with you today. And Leslie?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Leslie Gale. I am the Vice President of Customer Success here at Campus ESP. Prior to joining the Campus ESP team about 6 years ago, though, I also was working in higher education. I was at the University of Missouri for about 8 years, and while I was there, I started and then later finished my PhD in educational leadership and policy analysis. So really excited to take you all through the data today.
And Leslie is employee number 2 at Campus ESP. So she's going to be going into a lot of the insights while I stay on some of the higher level trends. So excited to get started here. And if you've never heard of Campus ESP, we do help schools with parent and family engagement. We're at over 350 colleges. And as we've mentioned, we've supported engagement for over 9 million families. Again, if you've never heard of us, we basically do kind of 3 things. We have an all-in-one parent communication platform. We have experts to help with your success based out of Philadelphia. And then we really focus on the analytics to show it's working. We know there's lots of different priorities that you have, an endless list of priorities. So really want to make sure that you have a strong ROI. And if you want to learn more about Campus ESP, you can go to our website. You know where that is because that's how you registered for this webinar. So you should be able to find it at campusesp.com. And also, there's a lot of other research, case studies. You don't have to be a Campus ESP customer to get value out of the parent engagement data. So we're going to go through 5 top trends and some of the data to support that. So we're going to just jump right in. The first one, and some of these are going to be a little bit of things that you've heard in the past. One of them is parents want to hear from colleges, from you, more than ever. And this is something that comes up every single year, and we have updated data from our partners at Ruffalo Noel Levitt. We did a study with over 24,000 prospective parents and current families. I think actually all told, I think it's over 50,000 parents. And you can see every single year, the engagement expectations goes up and up. And for this last year in 2023, parents, about 88% expect communication at least weekly. I will tell you, I'm not saying that that you should do this. This is just their expectations. And when I founded Campus ESP, like I said, about 7 years ago, I can tell you this number was 41%. So you're still seeing a lot of higher communication expectations from parents and families since the pandemic. And then we went a level deeper because this is what parents told us. And Leslie, we wanted to see what parents were actually doing and seeing if there was any trends along the way. So for the folks that don't know what a monthly active user is, do you want to explain what we're seeing in some of the data?
Yeah, absolutely. So we pulled from across all of our customers the usage, essentially. That's what monthly active users are, is how many parents are actually logging in and looking at information, seeking out information about our customers. And probably to no one's surprise on this call, one of the spikes that we saw was in August. As pretty normal because that is when transition season is happening. And so parents are really looking for ways to better support their students through that transition. We also obviously go a little deeper into this data too and look at some of the things like how frequently are they asking questions? So comments. Sometimes it's not questions though. Sometimes it is them just saying, thank you so much. We love this. But August is also the spike there. And of course, clicking in to get to those, to the portals themselves is also happening in August and then spiking at the end of the year as well. But that's a trend we've seen over the last couple of years. And so really cool to see that continue to be the trend year to year.
In that December spec, we're going to get more into that in a moment, like what happened, because there's some, uniqueness to this year with some of the stuff that's been going on with the Department of Education. So we're going to talk about that.
Talk about that later. So we also were able to break down our data and look at it, whether the family members are prospective parents, so parents whose students are in that application phase, trying to make their decision about where to go to school. The spike that we saw here was really interesting. And I mean, again, maybe not as surprising, but was in October, because that is when a lot of schools are opening up their applications. It's the first chance that they really have to interact with you all, to get information from the schools where their children are applying. And so they're really, really seeking that at that time. We saw that both in just them opening the emails, but also clicking in, looking around and trying to get more information too.
So it feels like August and October are like the really prime months to get a parent engagement strategy launched. From a customer perspective, are you busiest at like those times of the year or leading up to it? Or
right before. So our busiest times at customer success, which is the team that's implementing and launching our new customers, is always July and September, which makes sense because then we're ready to go. We're ready to get the parents the information right when they're looking for it.
Okay. And this one might warrant like some discussion here or a little bit more detail. One of the features that we have is FERPA management system where parents and students can decide whether to share information with each other. And if they do, then we have these FERPA management student tiles, right, where parents can see aspects of the student's academic and financial records. So what is so then what do you do with this? Spaghetti chart.
I know this chart is kind of funny looking, but basically what this is showing is the different types of information that students can grant access to in the portal and when parents are going and clicking on that. The one that's at the top is actually prospective families. So that is our admitted students' next steps, which is really cool. And again, the trends there just make perfect sense because it spikes in May, right when it's deposit season, and then also in July when they're trying to get all those last minute to-dos done before the transition comes. And then the other bumps that we see are around May and December. So that's when parents are kind of just checking in. They want to see the progress that their students are making, and they also want to make sure that their investment that they've been making is paying off. And so, this was really interesting to pull out and look at by topic too, because there are some slight variations, but the main trends are always the same.
Pretty cool.
Turns out,
and not all schools have this, right? Not all schools launch. Like if you're looking at this, and you're like, oh my gosh, they're doing this with FERPA, and if you're like, not all schools launch this module, but it is interesting to see these trends, especially stuff around the admitted next steps, right? That's pretty interesting.
That's great.
Number 2 is parents want emails, but more and more they want text messages too. So again, if you've been on a Campus ESP webinar over the last so many days, you probably know that I always bring up that email is the starting point. We know that if we ask parents what modes of communication do they want to receive from you, and we give them 2 options, email is chosen 96% of the time. And this is based off of, again, research that we've done with our partners at RNL. So email is your starting point. It's still the king of engagement. But if you push past email and look at those second levels, what are other ways to engage with parents? You see some really interesting trends, especially when you look at it by income level. So families with less income really look at text messaging as a more and more important way to get information from you. You'll notice we always hear schools that are focused on social media and Facebook, and I'm sure that people's eyes rolling about just maintaining all that. But if you look at it, it's really a pretty small percent of parents that want that engagement on social media, and those are generally families with higher income levels. And then one other chart that I like showing here as well, which is what about first gens? First gen is such a big focus, obviously, for so many of you. We see that preferences for text messages also extend to parents of first generation students. They also want a little bit more telephone support and certainly less social media. So there's definitely some trends there. I would say, again, starting point is around email. But you have to increasingly look at other alternatives such as like text message. And I know when we talked about text message, we got some really interesting data from the system here, Leslie. So
yeah, and one of the things that has always stood out to me from this data is that Black and Hispanic families are particularly interested in text messaging as well. So since we've launched SMS at Campus ESP, we've really started looking at, how are parents using it? Are they opting in? Are they saying, yes, I want to get these messages? And so we were able to pull out the data and compare and contrast by institution type. And this just blew me away that our HBCU partners who are using SMS have a 65% opt-in rate, which first of all is just crazy high, but it's 3 times higher than the average across all of our SMS customers. So they're really just telling us again what their preference is, and obviously that's something that we're really excited to see, and to see our HBCU partners leverage and reach the families of their students in this more kind of innovative way. I would say now this is kind of a newer trend.
So email, we just send parents emails based off of imports, or just you get any parent email, you put it into the system,
right?
But when you say opt-in, you're saying like the parent has to like actually opt in. So you're saying the opt-in rates for parents at HBCUs is almost 3 times higher, which is, I mean, that's a great example of looking at the data, what we're seeing out there, and helping that potentially craft how you reach out to this segment of families.
Exactly. Yep. And then also just kind of more broadly too, we dug in to see just where are our users accessing this information, whether, that comes from a text or comes from an email first. This is really cool to see that it's just continuing to rise, the percentage of families who are on a mobile device when they're using Campus ESP. About 63% are on some sort of mobile device.
Yeah, I think I remember a couple of years ago, this is closer to 50-50.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. When I started, it was less than 50-50. I think it was like 60. Yes, close to 50-50.
Close enough. And then, I think having it on a mobile device, the content on a mobile device, I think increasingly is important, because technology is a barrier for lower income families, first gen families as well, potentially as well. Okay. All right, so that was number 2. We're going to keep on moving here. Number 3 is from admission to enrollment. Families expect personalized outreach. And again, some of you may have seen some of these slides before, but I think the key word here is personalized outreach. I am living this dream. I will be nice about that, living this dream. I have twin 12th graders that are applying to colleges, and this is my daughter actually in the office, Campus ESP office, with all the mailers that she received her junior year, which is a lot. And I mean, some of them were personalized with her name, I guess, but she didn't really look at any of them. And so we've got this great stat from EdgeVentures around prospective parents, and that 97% of parents are involved with their students' college search. I mean, you know that to be true, but we wanted to dig into more of the data here. And this is also some data from RNL again, which kind of blew us away this year. This was something we have never seen. We work with an amazing researcher, Raquel Bermeo, at RNL, and we were like, I can't believe this. But when we surveyed parents and we said, what's most important from an experience perspective, the top one that they chose was on-campus visit, right? That makes perfect sense, especially if you have the resources to go on campus. But the second one was something we've never seen before, which is, I've got my Zoom thing over here, which is the quality of the school's communication with parents and family. We've never seen that in the top 10 before. So that was really eye-opening. 97% of parents said that. So that is a massive, massive change. So then you start thinking, okay, well, what do you send them? And we'll kick off with a kind of a fun stat here, which is we were talking earlier about December and how December was a weird month, and we have this crazy chart
big
here.
spike in terms of clicks on our network content happened, to no one's surprise, because that is when the Department of Education finally released the details on the FAFSA soft launch. So obviously we wanted to get that information to as many families as possible. And they were very, very eager for that information. I think they had been getting impatient, waiting to hear something. And so, 160,000 plus clicks on one post, one article is wild.
When the IT department sees something like this, they just immediately think something's broken, or like the door to an airplane just popped open in midair. So it was really from the FAFSA, which is crazy. And then you also had a chance to kind of look at broadly. The data is really rich here, so we kind of just highlighted it at a higher level. What did you see from the different themes?
Yeah, so we try to simplify this and really group it by topic of what parents are clicking on the most, and break it down a little bit so you can see the difference between, again, those prospective and current parents and what they're really looking for. So, prospective parents, their top thing that they were clicking on was college readiness and then financial aid information, whereas current families were looking at more broad kind of parent advice, which I always say is like advice for how to be a parent, basically those types of articles that go out to our customers, and also mental health, which we're going to talk about more in a little bit, but definitely they're seeking just advice on how to support their student. And the next group on this list is two-year college families, which is a growing kind of segment of our families at Campus ESP. And they're kind of a mix. They have both that they're looking for parent advice, but also really concerned about college readiness. They want to make sure that their students are ready to go. And
is that kind of like, you think from the enrollment cycle, like stopping, starting, restarting kind of thing? That kind of, it's not just end to end like 4-year colleges. 2-year really is.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not a straight line from one to the other. They're kind of consistently going back and forth between enrolling and being enrolled. And so that makes a lot of sense to me. And then we also, again, broke it down by institution type. So looking particularly at HBCUs and HSIs, you can see financial aid was one of the top things for both those institution types. And then I like when you have all this up here too, because now you can see that the one topic that all types of parents and all types of institutions were most seeking was that advice content. So they are really looking for help here. They feel like they're doing this whole new thing. They don't really know what they're doing, and they're really looking for help, and for the schools that their kids are applying to or going to help provide that information too, because you're kind of on your own sometimes.
So just to dig a level deeper here, parent advice isn't parent to parent advice. It is articles that support sort of how parents engage in the student journey. And for customers that use Campus ESP, we provide a lot of that through what we call global content, where we put the content for parents in the portal. A lot of times, if you see this content come into your portal, you're like, it's kind of obvious, right? But it surprisingly gets the most clicks.
It does, and it sometimes the topics are really kind of smushy, emotional things.
What's an example?
Like 8 conversations to have before your child goes to college, or 5 things that you should prepare yourself to cry about at move-in, or something like that. So it's a lot of topics like that. As administrators, people who deal with this all day, every day, it seems like a no-brainer to us, but to parents who are doing this for the first time, or the first time since they went to school, if they did go to school, it's really top of mind.
And I want to just make one more mention on the current content going to current families. This is the first year that I have not seen financial aid in the top 3. And it's basically replaced by mental health. We have not seen mental health make it into the top 3. So I think we all, we're going to get into that in a moment here, but that was also something that kind of all right, let's keep on rolling here. So one thing is parents are looking for personalized content. Another piece of research that is on our website, which is students with engaged parents are more likely to enroll. We have a case study with some research from 6 schools here. And it's worth checking out, which is that from these 6 schools at least, the average yield rate was 9% higher when they had a parent using Campus ESP. And I don't know if it's really just Campus ESP. You could do some of this stuff with other systems as well, but it really is something where we call it nudging the nudgers. Parents are the ultimate nudgers. And so we see this data every single year, and we just kind of shuffle the schools that we profile, but it's the same from all schools, right?
Yeah. Yeah, every year.
All right, number 4, students are stressed. Parents want to help. Students want that too. And that last part is really what is sometimes most surprising, that the students do want their parents engaged. So there's this, I can't say I love this research because it's very depressing, but it is research from, again, our friends at RNL and ZME of 2012th grade students. So 89% of them feel stressed very often. 79% feel anxious very often, and 74% feel worried very often. You might be like, Dave, why are we focused on 12th grade students? Well, the reality is those students are coming to your campus, right? So when you start seeing stats like this, 4 out of 10 families communicate with their college students daily. And again, that's another survey of 21,000 families. 4 out of 10, you can kind of see the reason why, which is in some cases, these students aren't necessarily fully ready to go to college, or the parents want to make sure that they have support to make sure that their students succeed. And we always have this horrifying stat, I think, for all of us, which is that if you don't engage with parents, they will find their own way to engage. And 61% of parents have their students' college IDs and passwords.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about this stat is this is 61% of parents that actually admit to having it. So what is the rate? It's probably higher. Because I mean, who admits that they have their college? I mean, 61%.
Yeah,
So,
it's definitely higher than this. But on the bright side of things,
please tell me.
Well, on the bright side of things, if you give them another option, they will take it. So we talked a little bit earlier about our FERPA management system, and obviously, again, not every single Campus ESP school uses this, but for those that do, the parents have the opportunity to basically make that request, and then the students have the choice of whether they want to accept that request, grant their parents or family members access, and 84% accept those requests, which maybe when I was still on a campus would have surprised me. But now that I've been here for a while and have seen this just continue to grow, I'm not surprised, because I think that this generation of students in particular just really wants their parents involved, and they want their support. That's who they're picking up the phone to call whenever they have something going on campus that they don't know how to deal with. And
we have another study that we release every year, also has similar results, which is that student retention is higher with parent engagement. And there's different levels of parent engagement, right? But for this study, we looked at 12,000 students across 9 universities, and on average, student retention was 8.3% higher when the parent received information about the student's academic or financial status. And it's made up of all these schools, and I just want to give a shout out to all these schools for sharing their results, which are amazing. Lots of different types of schools. The first row is their institutional retention rate. The second row is the retention rate with parent engagement. And you can see how in all cases, when a parent was engaged, receiving regular updates from their student, those students retained at a higher level. And you can't really say it's causal, but it is highly correlative. And some of these results are crazy. Like Texas State really saw these similar results 2 years in a row. They were featured in both this year and last year. University of West Georgia, like crazy results. And then when we go a level deeper, and again, we saw the same trend last year. So we're just profiling different schools, in this case, Auburn and Duquesne. When you look at white students, their retention gains from parent engagement, you can see right there for Duquesne, it was 3.5. For Auburn, it was 2.1. But look at it for Black and Hispanic students. So where you can make the biggest gains from student success and retention is with these families that are not always maybe fully represented in the content that they need, right? And then this is a new chart that we are just releasing. We've never had this data before. This one kind of gives me chills as well, which is we took, again, that Duquesne and Auburn, that for all students, what was the retention gain? Or like about 2.5%. And we looked at the retention gain for students that were first-gen students that had a parent receiving updates, and then students that were Pell eligible. And so again, these are some of the populations that maybe struggle from a graduation rate perspective. And what we're seeing is the impact on these types of students is even higher, which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see too. I mean, I love that this is really helping to kind of level the playing field. We know that all of our partners really are focused on the success of first generation students and low income students. And so yeah, I just love to see these results.
And this is like the 5th year we've done this study, and they're always around 8%. We see that. So we went a little deeper into what are parents clicking on.
Yeah.
You want to explain what's going on here?
Sure. So this is kind of a list of the different types of information that parents can get. We call them tiles because that's what they literally look like in Campus ESP, is a tile. And we looked at the average clicks per school for each of the different tiles, and kind of stacked them up against each other to see which were the most popular, which were the most clicked on. And I think this is a really interesting list because it makes total sense that parents care about what their students need to do to get enrolled, and also to make sure that the bills are paid and that their kids are, doing a good, being successful in classes, right? That's what they're looking at for GPA.
So with that admitted next steps that we saw that big swing earlier, you're seeing that parents are clicking all over that. And, as a parent who is looking at that information or close to looking at it, I would think that if I didn't have it there or have easy means to access it, I would call the university. And I have actually sent a couple of emails to some universities that I'm not super proud of yet. Really. And I know there's people on this call that know which universities I've emailed. But so you can really see account balance, GPA, those are some of the most popular ones. And then we get into this next level of like the ones that we get excited about.
Right. So in some of our research that we've done on the retention impact of this tool, we've also been able to look at which tiles have a higher correlation with retention. And so some of the ones that are the most clicked on are also the ones that are really correlated with student retention. And yeah, it's just great to see that parents are getting access to this information that can be really impactful. I mean, I think we can all think of examples, especially around financial aid, that, if the parent has the opportunity to see exactly what needs to be done or what amount of aid their student has received, they can really help their student plan and get on that path to enrolling for the next term and staying enrolled over the course of their career. So,
and generally it's around financial aid alerts, hold alerts, and student status changes. Like if the student goes below a certain number of credits, maybe they lose their financial aid. If they lose their financial aid, they need to drop out. That process starts. So what we do in Campus ESP is we send out alerts to the parent to give them a heads up, and then what to do, how to help the student. And that's where we see the retention impact. So lots of reasons why you would want to send the account balance or the bill to the parent, but it's not really going to have a retention impact as much as like these other areas is what you're saying.
Exactly. Yep. We know that just by having that information, holds especially, they will be more likely to retain from one semester to the next.
Is it tough to get schools to buy into that?
It's interesting. Some schools, yes, some schools, no. I think the trend is more and more that folks are, acknowledging and seeking help from parents and family members because they're, they've seen that this can work.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Okay, so last one is maybe the most depressing one, really, which is higher ed professionals are being asked to do more with less, and it's getting ridiculous. I don't know, we came up with this because we know you are inundated with lots of different requests. So we started looking at that, which is number one, parents expect more, right? And so this is, again, some more data from our partners at RNL. 40% of families want to be involved in their students' experience at the institution. 48% of families attended family weekend last year. I know there's a lot of people on this call that they're a department of one and they're managing family weekend for literally half the families coming in.
Yeah.
And then 94% of families have visited campus since their student enrolled. So we've got this data, which is just parents expecting more. And then every parent program that is out there, I want to talk about this data.
Yeah, so AHEP is a national organization who surveys folks who work in parent programs every year, and they are constantly wanting to do more too. These are people who are very passionate about their work. These are my people, the people I used to be. And even just at last year's summit, I remember hearing from folks that, they want to add more specialized events. They want to do events just for certain populations of families. They want to really expand their reach, and there's a lot on their wish list that they want to do, but often it's just one person, maybe 1% a student worker. Very rarely is it more than that in terms of staffing, which that's why staff is number 2 on this list.
Can we give a shout out to the AHAP folks too? They do a great job.
Yes.
Any sales pitch for if you're looking to start your parent program, just go to their website and
yes, definitely do a Google on AHAB. They have a lot of great research out there other than this study as well, but they also have a great conference where you can network with other folks who are focused on parents and families. It's really where I started when I started working with parents directly, and learned a lot from that group.
Cool. All right. And then we profiled this last year, but the Coupa HR organization as this employee retention survey. And again, I'm positive there's people shaking their head yes right now, but 57% of employees, 57% of you are at least somewhat likely to leave the role in the next year. And I've been in education technology for 25 years, and people will ask me like, "Oh, what's going on in education?" Just broadly, they'll just say, "What are you seeing out there?" And I always point to this: I have never seen more people leave, and that institutional knowledge goes away with them, and the expectations just keep on increasing. So, in many ways, it is a pressure cooker. So, kudos and thank you for all that you do, because it is, I mean. Pandemic, politics, like everything hits every single day, and it's tough. But we wanted to look at one more stat, diving deeper, because I get involved in a lot of the presentations we give prospective schools, and one of the things we always say is like, to use Campus ESP, it takes about an hour of your time each week, and we're like, what is the actual amount of time? Because we do track it behind the scenes. And so obviously they can read, but
no, this was crazy when we pulled this out, because of course I'm worried, like, oh no, are we underselling it? Are we saying an hour, but it's really more? No, it turns out it's really way less. So yeah, for our folks who are administrators of their portals, they're spending 14 minutes a week.
That's great.
14 minutes.
There's also emails that get sent out, so they wouldn't be in there maybe. But I think, it makes sense. There's value to why you would want to engage with parents and families, and there's lots of different ways to do it. And a lot of times it's about scale. And so when we think about higher ed professionals are being asked to do more with less, sometimes that's where we can help. But if you want to learn more, or if you just want to get more information on parent engagement, family engagement overall, which we kind of use those words interchangeably.
Yeah, we have a Campus ESP learning series. This is led primarily for customers, but all are welcome to join. The next one is happening next week. We're doing 2 sessions next week to kind of follow up actually from this webinar and help people plan out their family engagement strategy for the year. So I'm really excited about that, and hope you all will go and sign up for that. This year, we also are having our big annual Campus ESP Summit again. This is the 6th year that we have done that, and that's going to be in May 20th, here in Philadelphia. And again, everyone is open to join that. And then also for those of you who are brand new, this is your first time hearing about Campus ESP, the best way to learn more about exactly what it is just to reach out on our website, and we'll connect you, and someone will show you around and give you a demo.
or you could just email us.
Yeah, also, yeah.
So, I think that's also an easy way to just, if you have a quick question, feel free to reach out. And that's it. Those are your top trends in family engagement for 2024. This is the first time that we've done this together. This is fun.
Yeah,
right?
it was fun.
Yeah, I mean,
Fun to look at all the data too.
yeah,
I'm a nerd like that.
yeah. And there's lots more levels, and we're
Yeah.
gonna have other webinars that deep dive, but we wanted to give you
Mhm.
something in 30-ish minutes that you could consume and hopefully direct your plans for 2024. So hopefully it was worth it, valuable for you. We'll follow up with the deck, with the recording, and of course, I think that when that email comes out, probably tomorrow, if you have questions or if you want other information, let us know. I also highly recommend going back to the website, to the blogs and research link. Actually has a lot more of this detail and the research that we focused here today. So check that out. And otherwise, have a great end to your January, and hopefully the rest of the week goes well for you. So thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, thanks everyone.